For this lesson, we're going to look at reading individual characters from a file. To start with, we need to #include fstream again, so let's do that first. Then, first thing we need to do is create a char variable, C. Then we need to create a file object, or a file handle. This is an input stream object, so we're going to make it ifstream in file. And we'll just put the complete path to the file here rather than prompt the user to save a little time. And you've seen how to do that quite a bit. The mode is input, so ios::in. So then to read a character from the file, we call a function get and the variable to put it into, so C right here. And then we can write cout C. Then let's close the file just to make sure it's closed correctly. And let's build and run this program first to see what we get. So the first character in this file is a capital N. Oh, I should have shown you the file. Let me do that real quick. I changed the file to have the 3 lines. Now is the time for all good people to come to the aid of their party. So that's now the contents of chars.txt. So as you see, the first character returned from that was the capital N. Let's pull in a couple more. Like so. This would get tedious if we did it for very long. And then build and run the program. And now we have the word now. So the get function returns a character from the file and stores it in its argument, which will be a char variable, obviously. Now what we would probably do if we were reading from a file is try to read all the contents of a file. For example, the type command that I've been using to display the contents of a file simply does that. It just reads the file until it's out of characters to read. So we can write our own type command as a C++ program. So let's do that. I'm going to delete all this code up until the close. First thing we need to do is read the first character, like so. Then we write a loop that says while not infile.eof. The same basic structure we've used before. Read the file until we get to the end of the file. Then we want to display the character that we've read to the console, and then we want to read the next character. Like so. Close the file when we're finished, and then we've essentially recreated the type command. So let's build and run the program. And you see that we get the same result. So reading characters from a file is really very similar to reading lines from a file, but rather than grabbing whole lines at a time, we're getting single characters using the get function. Let's do one more thing with this. Let's count characters in the file. Let's just count one particular letter. Let's count E's, for example. So we're going to create a variable called count and set it equal to 0. And then we're going to have a little if statement. We'll do it after the cout. That says if C equals E plus plus count. After the loop is finished, we can write out the results. Cout, there are count E's in the file. We better put a couple of indels before that. We'll need to put 2 probably. And then let's put 1 at the end. Okay? So, to summarize here, after we read a character, we're going to write it out to the console. Then we're going to check to see if that character is an E. If it is, we're going to increment the count by 1 and then get the next character. And we're going to run that in a loop until we've reached the end of the file. So let's build and run the program. And it says there are 7 E's, so let's count them real quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's right. So you could use a program like this if you're trying to do some sort of textual analysis like how many commas do I use, how many spaces are there, how many punctuation marks of any kind, or how many vowels. Anytime you need to look at individual characters, then reading a file on a character-by-character basis is probably the best way to write the program, rather than reading it in lines at a time and then doing the analysis on the lines. That can get a little bit more complex than doing it character by character. So that ends this chapter on text file processing. And in the next lesson, we're going to work an exercise where we're going to build a to-do list using the things we've learned about reading, writing, and appending to text files.